So we had to poke the stuff because I forgot to do the stuff. So here we are. I have no idea how far we're going to get. I really don't. Those of you who were in here last semester, you probably got tired of me not having the homework up until the afternoon, maybe even that night, because I honestly don't know how far we're going to get on any given day. It's been a long time since I've had algebra half, and I just don't know how fast or slow we're going to go. Things that I think are going to take us only a few minutes, maybe it takes us 30. Things I thought would take us a whole class, we got it done in half. I just don't know your pace yet. So we got notes in front of us. The idea is you follow along. Everything that's up here is right there on your papers. If we write things up here, you write them in front of you. Just follow the bouncing ball. With it, I'm sorry the front copy, it got super, super dark on there. Like you can't even see these. And I even lightened it when I did the copies. I don't know why it sucked, but it sucked. Please, if you would, second rule of kindergarten. Put your name on that. Because it really sucks when you turn in a whole bunch of notes and then you don't get credit for it. And then you wonder where your notes went. And 4 days later, I point at the thing that's like pinned to the back wall and say, that you? Okay? Second rule of kindergarten. Put your name on your paper. Next up, y'all coming straight out of algebra half from first semester, so I don't need to really do any review or anything like that. Y'all left off at chapter 3, right? Even Skoglund kids? Ended chapter 3. Like you got all the way through it? All right. Let's go for it then. Argue. Legit. We're set up like a Senate chamber for a reason. I want you talk to the people next to you and argue. Okay? Even if you can't really see it on your paper there, you can at least see it here. Those are containers. Y'all played with those in like middle school or physical science, like looking at volume and you fill it up with water and which one's actually worth more, that kind of business. Can you match the graph to which container that is? Match the graph to the container. Argue with your neighbors. If they got a different thing than you, why? If you got differing opinions, try to convince the other person. What do you think? Yep. So we're supposed to find AOB is this, BOC is that, COD is that, A, B, C. Oh, you got your diagram, right?
Yeah.
So if AOB, this one, and BOC, that one, and COD are measures given, see the congruent measure? That means whatever AOB and COD are, set those two equal.
Okay.
Because you know they're the same. If you know they're the same, then you can set them equal and solve for x.
Okay.
Then you can plug it into all three and find their measures. Okay, so how about this? Let's do A, B, C. Hey, hey. First one, what do you think?
I think it's B.
Why? Oh, I heard B and C. Controversy. Fight. What do you think?
C looks different and that looks different too, so I kind of like, you know, like how A and B and the other ones are like straight, but C's got like curves. And it kind of looks like
It's a pretty simple one, right? Like that one's weird and that one's weird. Put the weird things together. You just describe Game Club. That's how we roll. Okay? You're weird, I'm weird. You know what actually happens about that is it's neurodivergent communication. Like, you ever get that person you just vibe with? Like, they just get me. Odds are it's actually because of your communication and speech patterns. And it's common for people who have ADHD or autistic, bipolar, Tourette's, for them to just, their wavelength is literally on the same page. So they just get each other better than they would with a neurotypical person. So yes, that one's weird, they go together. You are correct. Also look at, see how this is a steady increase and then tapered off? Well, a steady rise and then a weird change to it. Okay, so the question then would be, which one's A, which one's B? Look at what they're relating. As the volume increases, as I pour more water in it, the height does this. Which one's which? What do you think? Even if you're wrong, just say something. I'm wrong all the time. I'm used to it.
B is the second one. I mean,
Why?
okay, no, it goes A and B. B is last, and then A is the second.
Because this relates the height to the volume, right? The more water I pour in, this one is going to get taller than that one. Even if they got the exact same amount of water in it, it's going to be taller. So, yes, yes. There's B, there's A, there's C. Okay. What this is leading into, chapter 4, is, I told y'all, the first part of the year is all about the mechanics of algebraic manipulation. Why are you using big words? Can I move letters and numbers around? Can I solve equations? Can I distribute? Can I combine like terms? Can I do all the stuff that allows me to express something without concrete objects? Can I express abstract ideas? Can I solve in said abstract ideas? Okay? Yeah, we did all that. Now we have to put it to use. We're going to represent things like graphs. Okay? You got to know what a graph is all about before you can start making your own and using equations and all that kind of stuff. Okay, analyzing a graph is just a relationship. It's got two axes. Maybe you don't really know that vocabulary. You probably remember hearing x-axis and y-axis. Sound familiar? Okay. Now, I can label them whatever I want. I can call it the z-axis. I can call it the h-axis. I can call it the psi axis and start getting Greek on you. Okay? I can do any of that. Normally we use x and y. An x-axis is horizontal. They just assume that you know this, so maybe you want to write it down. And y-axis is vertical. And it's just a way to organize your information, to compare two things at once. They showed you in middle school that this is just two number lines, right? Like, y'all remember number lines where it's, and then if I got another one, well, if I take my second number line and I just turn it 90 degrees, well, this is my other number line. It's two number lines smacked on top of each other. That's why you get coordinates that are x comma y. They're saying if it's x on this number line and y on this number line, this is its spot. Okay? You don't have to hide it, dude. Throw it out on the table. Munch. I don't care. I said, get your snack on. Be comfortable. As long as you're actually doing math. So, those are just the basics about what a graph is. These are asking us, it's not even really math, like doing number stuff. It's more like common sense. This is the volume of air in a balloon as you blow it up. Okay? Nothing else on this page exists. I was supposed to blank that out. Shh, you don't see that. Nothing else on this page exists. If I just see T-pose. If I just see this and nothing else, it's the air as you are blowing the balloon up. Why does it look like that? Why isn't it just straight line?
Well, you take breaths.
You take breaths, right? The air, it's not just going to keep It's not just going to keep going at a linear rate. It's going to have that little dip in there when you take a breath, right? And then at the end, until it pops, right? Air in balloon. Well, if there is no more balloon, I'm pretty sure there's no more air in the balloon. Kaboom. So, describe how the variables are related at various points in the graph. Now, again, I was supposed to blank this out. I really turboed through these first couple sections of notes, so there's probably going to be errors all over the place. Y'all know this is just from your book. This is literally just copy and paste from your book, and I blank stuff out so that we can talk about it. If I just handed you a book and said, read this, I would like you to read section 3. Do the problems, we'll talk tomorrow. Maybe you can get away with that in biology or history where, you know, just reading and talking about the thing works, but with math, you got to do it. You have to have it explained. That's why I try to blank things out. So, oops, my bad. Sorry, it happens. And it tells you variables. Variables are those x and y axes. So my x-axis, so my x variable is time. My y-axis, so my y variable is volume. Remember that volume is how much space it takes up. Area is two-dimensional space. Volume is, okay, like Tony Stark this, and put the little cube in front of me, right? I love those animations with that, like, that digital 3D, puts the globe in front of them, okay? I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a jerk, but the movies are cool. So, it increases each time that you blow into it. As time is going on, the volume increases, and these stops are me taking a breath. Anyone ever have to do lung capacity testing? Any asthmatics in here?
I was asthmatic. I had to do it.
Okay. Or you just get super sick about something. I had to do that for my control meds years ago. They put me, it's like this hyperbaric chamber. They closed this door and it hissed. And I thought they were just going to suck all the air out of it and kill me. And then you're supposed to blow into a balloon. They have a picometer you're supposed to blow into and measure your lung capacity, all kinds of stuff like that. I don't know a human being that can just shh forever. So you say what the variables are, the time that I am blowing up the balloon, the volume, the size of the balloon, and those steps in it are where I have to take a breath, and during those steps, the time is still going, but the balloon wasn't increasing, okay? You're playing a game. How many rounds per minute did you average this time? Well, that space, isn't the clock still running? But you're not firing, okay? When the balloon pops in the middle of the fourth blow, the volume decreases to 0. So basically just, can you look at a graph without any numbers and just tell me what that relationship is? Can you tell me what the relationship is between input and output? And that's going to be really important coming forward here. A and B. Argue with your neighbors. Now you notice, I know this is going to freak some kids out. They wrote things. You're going to have to English and math. Can you write? It doesn't have to be a dissertation. Okay? I don't need your PhD thesis. I need a coherent sentence. Can you tell me what that graph says? What are the variables? What's happening in it? Go. Argue with your neighbors, see if you can come up with a similar explanation, and then write it. Put it into words. right? That's gone. That's gone. Yeah. Okay, a little bit of context because the book is old. You used to get charged for every minute that you talk to people. I know your generation doesn't even use the phone as a phone. Okay. Back in my day, I actually called people on the cellular telephone.
I call people too. I have 600 hours of call time that I've been counting up for almost 3.5 years.
My grandpa still gets cards. He has a track phone and he gets the minute cards. that that is the ancient magic. That's how it used to happen. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you talk to your neighbors. Did you write it? Can you turn your thoughts into a coherent sentence? The X is this, the Y is this. The graph shows this is happening. Then do it.
How come you can like assume supplementary the S angles,
Supplementary angles.
but you can't assume complementary if they're both just adding up to a degree?
Supplementary, there's the definition of a linear pair.
Um,
If it makes a straight line, they're supplementary. But you can't assume that something's complementary unless you have that right angle box in there. Okay. Got awful quiet. Are we all writing? Are we... I hope we're writing. Not just staring at it, waiting for the guy up front to tell us what to write. Okay. There's a big difference between I can follow along versus I can do it on my own. I can watch a guitar solo 1,000 times. I will never be able to play a guitar. I am uncoordinated. Okay? Just because you see me do it, just because that makes sense, doesn't mean that you can do it on your own. There's a difference. Okay. I'm guessing, I'll come back to A. I'm guessing B was actually the easier one. So it says minutes of calls and the cost. Well, there you go. What are the variables in each graph? Well, X is my minutes and calls. Y is my cost. Ta-da. They're just those axes. But describe how they're related at various points. This is a flat line. That means the minutes of calls, how many minutes you were on the phone, and the cost was not changing. So you were on the phone. The minutes were increasing. You were on the phone. You were on the phone. You were on the phone. It's not costing you money. The cost is still the same. The cost is still the same. And then all of a sudden, you start paying money. That's a horrible example for your generation. Should have double checked that example before putting it on there. Back in my day, you would have 1,500 minutes. And then they would start charging you after that. It was like that was your plan. Right now, it's about how much data you have. Most of you probably have an unlimited plan because otherwise your parents would be driven nuts. Okay? I want you to think about how much you use your phone every day. I want you to think about, now maybe it's all on Instagram. Maybe it's all on Snapchat. Okay. I hope it's not on TikTok. I mean, your actual communication. Okay. Not letting China steal your data. Okay. The source code for TikTok is really messed up. They have so much permission on your phone. It's nuts. Um, what used to happen is you would pay. You would get so many minutes of talk time and so many text messages and so many picture messages, and then data wasn't a thing. That's how old this book is. Okay? Like, you were lucky if you could download Monopoly in pixelated Game Boy Advance style color. Okay? Um, you'd hit a certain point, and then, well, you used up all your minutes. Now they're going to start charging you. Okay? So you'd hit the end of your allotted minutes. You would pay your, I don't know, $40 a month. And you'd talk and you talk and you talk and you talk and you talk. And then all of a sudden you went over your minute allowance, and now they're going to charge you 10 cents a minute. Maybe this wouldn't go so well with minutes of calls, but how about if I said text messages? Okay. I want you to think about how many times in any given day you send a message on any platform to a friend or a family member. What do you think? 100? 200? Like actual messages sent in any platform. Okay, I have Remind with students. I have Discord with my game club and a bunch of other geek spaces. Okay, I actually got a group now that's just for content creators of Magic the Gathering who are dads. It's like a dad magic channel. And we share baby pictures and talk about geek cards. It's really weird, right? So you got those spaces, you have um, all of the social media platforms. How many messages do you actually send in a day? It used to be where every one of those charged your account 10 cents. I want you to think about that. You send 100, 200 messages in a day. What's that times 10 cents? Well, you got a phone in front of you. Press the buttons. There's a calculator hiding on there, right? Or there's calculators over there. You should all have a calculator, whether it's on your phone, whether it's a scientific calculator right in front of you, whether you grabbed one of those. 2,000?
10 times 200.
Oh, 10 cents. What do we have to change?
Zero.
So move the zero, right? 20.
Oh my god.
Two places, right? From 2,000, move it 2 zeros. No, you tried doing it in your head instead of writing something out, right? There's nothing wrong with that, and you don't laugh about it. It's you make mistakes. You should see the brownie points by the end of the semester. Y'all, I make mistakes. Okay? We're also a lot better at things if we actually poke the buttons, if we actually write it down, than trying to do it in our head. Me trying to do mental math by white 4, y'all, it's bad. It's really bad. Um, imagine $20 a day. Imagine when your bill didn't show up until the next month. Imagine when there was no app on the phone where your parents could see the data usage. I want you to think about the teens that came before you, the ones who are now in their late 20s, actual millennials. Everyone tries to call kids millennials. You're not millennials. I'm a millennial. I'm 37. I'm right on the edge. It was like 1983, I think, is the cutoff. Imagine you sent 100, 200 messages every day, and your parents didn't know about it, and then they got that bill, $20 a day for a month. And they get that bill, that $600 bill, because you were texting. Okay. Just give you a little bit of history context there. I hate that I have to call that history. Board length. I want you to tell me, well, yeah, X, Y. So for this one, I would say used up minutes, then charged. Really need to get rid of that out of these books. This is the last year, theoretically, that we're using these books. We know that's X and Y. Can you tell me what scenario this might be? Give me an example.
Like they chalkboard.
Okay.
Like
It's a board length. The length was getting smaller, right? Chopping it. I'm just cutting off ends. How many in woodshop? Intro to tech. Okay. What happens if you're just cutting off? You need a bunch of 8-inch sections because you're making spacers on a displace case or something. Board, chop, board, chop, board, chop, right? As time is going on, the board is getting shorter. That's exactly what you write. You say, as time increases, board is cut shorter. That's all I need. Doesn't have to be a dissertation. Just, can you tell me what this means? Can you come up with an example of it? That's only one example of it. It's just a board and it's getting shorter. Anyone seen the new Crudes? I live in like animated movie hell. So,
Oh yeah.
okay. There's a scene where they all get caught up in this big net and they go to poke them. And they go to poke them and the grandma just and eats the whole thing. Board length and time. Maybe you just got a really hungry alligator and you poked them and they bit the end of it off. And you poked them again and they bit the end of it off. Does it work? Get creative. Okay? As long as it fits the context of it, go for it. I don't care. The big deal is that you understand the relationship between the two. Okay, now we're talking about matching a table to a graph. Okay, so they all plotted points. I hope we all remember that when you plot the points, it's x comma y, left or right, then up or down. So all of these graphs have 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 4 points. They're all arranged left to right. And it's talking about video downloads. Allows them to download its new video from its website instead of having it behind a paywall. Okay? Wasn't it all the Taylor Swift fans are all rabid about that, and you got to have, I don't know, there was something about she lets people have her music for free the first month or something. I don't know. I saw an article. I don't care. She's almost as old as me. This idea that after these many days, this many people are downloading the thing. Maybe that would be more like a viral trend, more like hours, but on day 1, this many people see it. On day 2, about 3 times that many people see it. On day 3, about 3 times that many people see it. On day 4, about 3 times that many people see it. Every day. Oh, wait, that's not. Is that 3 times? Yeah, it is. Okay. So every day, about 3 times more people see it. Which one makes sense? Which one can you rule out? Which one just doesn't make sense when I say this many days and this many downloads? Okay. This is not a line, right? Because otherwise it'd be like 350, 700, 1050, 1400. This got way bigger, way faster. So I know it's not a line. Which one? What? Talk to me. What's your reasoning? Okay. Why B and not C? It was going up and it was going up faster, right? This exploded upward and then kind of trailed off. That would be like it went viral and after 3 days no one cared, right? This, on the other hand, now more people are seeing it. That's when you have that random cat video with 30 million views. Okay, it just, whoop, there it goes. So, which graph could represent the data shown, and could you explain why? Could you write just a sentence, even a fragment of a sentence? Could you write that next to it and say why it's B but not the others? Well, exactly what you said. It went up too fast, so it's not a line. It went up fast, it didn't flatline, so it can't curve off like C. Gotta be B. Okay? But you have to be able to say that. Now, when it comes to your notes, yeah, you circle B, yeah, you cross out the other ones, but do you have anything written there? Even just a blurb, just a fragment saying, went up too fast, can't be a line, doesn't flatline. If that's all you put, that's a wonderful explanation. I would be happy to take that on a test. Okay? I can be incredibly verbose, but I'm also a male of the species. I communicate well in grunts. You don't need to have a full, like, number get big fast. Not get big small. Not line. B. I mean, you knew what I meant, right? There's a lot of gesturing, but it works. So, I want you to do the same thing. There's a table. There's some graphs. Match. Which one is it? And it's not enough to just say which one it is. As the 90s pop boys say, tell me why. Please don't. Please don't. I had to live through that era. I don't know who that is, and I'm happy because that was your response, and I don't know who it is. Because if you're trying to one-up the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, then I don't want to know who that is. It's not enough to say which one it is. Can you tell me which one and why? Okay, argue with your neighbors. Write a sentence next to it. Why? Okay. Which one and why? How much is it changing each time? Did it change the same amount every time? Up or down, and by how much?
That immediately eliminates this one and this one.
Okay, I heard the words that immediately eliminates this one. To what were you referring?
Which one?
I'm asking you that. You said that immediately eliminates this one. What eliminated what?
Didn't drop to 0.
It didn't drop to 0. Look at your table. It never went to 0. Why would I have a graph that goes to 0? That's perfect. So maybe you write that right next to it. You say not to 0. Okay, now which of those?
I didn't lose a large amount.
Okay, every time it went down 0.2, down 0.2, down 0.2. It's going down a little bit at a time, not a little bit, a lot of bit, a whole wow, gone. Okay, so I would say incremental, not a lot. If I saw that on a test, we're good. Perfect. Okay, I'm fine with that. Okay, so normally right about now, I didn't put them in here because, again, I thought we would be fine with this, and I kind of rushed through it. Normally, I'd have like a thumbs page. This idea of everyone show me a thumb up is, I get this, I'm confident, no problem, let's move on. A sideways is kind of a, I mean, I can follow what's going along, but some part of this is a little sketchy. I could use another example, just to be safe. And then I have no freaking clue what's going on. So, how do you feel? Okay. Maybe I throw one random one on there just to see what happens. Y'all got room down here. Okay, just to see. I got to word this correctly so I don't get myself in trouble. Tell me what happened.
No. Yes. The amount of children. It says wait. Yeah, but that's not the children. Children. Yes. That's children, not a child.
Hopefully never. We cut that pipe off.
But it doesn't make sense because the children didn't die. They might have. Well, they might have say that they died.
Oh, wow, that took a turn for the dark. It doesn't say that the children died. What?
I mean, I get like child, but like,
What, if, like, they lost me again?
They had themselves. They got their baby fat, and then they grew up, and it went down, and then
And then midlife crisis. I mean, you're not wrong.
this one doesn't make sense.
It does under
Like,
context.
can there be multiple scenarios to this?
At 0 children, everything was great.
Oh, you're talking about, oh.
Everything was great. And then we had goblin number 1. And we put on some weight because we couldn't sleep. We couldn't work out. And then Goblin started sleeping. We started waking up at every morning at 5 a.m. and going to the rec center and lifting weights. And we brought that weight down. And then we had Goblin number 2. Goblin number 2 let me sleep for a grand total average 3.5 hours a night for 7 straight months. That's total. That's like 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. You got 3.5 hours of sleep in there for 7 straight months. Y'all heard about if you stay awake for so long, you actually start hallucinating? I have fallen asleep sitting upright in that chair while helping a kid with a problem. And right about there, the pandemic happened. And then we just kind of flatlined. So, the the number of children. Oh, the grand total of the. Okay, this kid weighs this much. This kid was just eating too much. This kid started eating those kids. Like, what are you? All right. That took a turn for the worse. All right. Let's do something different. The usual reason that people need therapy is to deal with people who should be going to therapy but aren't. Yeah. Other people should be going to therapy. They're not. So they're making my life hell, so I should go. Okay. All right. Sketching a graph. So now we're going to make a graph to model a situation. A model rocket rises quickly, slows to a stop as its fuel burns out, begins to fall quickly until the parachute opens, after which floats slowly back to Earth. How many of you have actually had the rocket with the parachute, maybe just fireworks? Have any of you had a multi-stage one like that? You light it, and then the little G.I. Joe trooper comes floating down? No? And then you got to go find, yeah, it's in someone's gutter, right? And you got to be careful. Don't do that in town. Y'all, we've been in a drought for like a decade. You're going to start someone's house on fire. Stop that. Okay, maybe it was instead, have you done the water rocket ones? Where it's like a 2-liter bottle of water and you pump it up with a bicycle pump or something until just off she goes? Oh, those ones are fun. My kid got a little stomp rocket like that for Christmas. It's just this little air bladder on it and just off it goes. I actually just do the air bladder like this and I aim it at them. And I shoot my kids with this little Nerf gun thing. But anyway, can you show me this? What sketch of a graph could represent the height of the rocket during its flight? This is where we have to start defining something called independent and dependent variables. Independent and dependent variable. Can you tell me what is the difference between independent and dependent without using the word depend?
Dependent is the one that we measure the bottom one is the one we measure based on the top one.
Based on, okay, synonym for depends, yes. This one depends on that one. Like that's why I call it independent and dependent. If something is independent, this is the one you change. This is my input. This is the one that affects output. The output changes based on the input. So this is the one that I can control. Better, there you go. Can control. And this is the result. Now that goblin number 2 sleeps, I can control how much sleep I get. Assuming that he's not teething and waking up in the middle of the night and yelling at us. Y'all, 2-year molars suck. Thank your parents for not drowning you. Because, no, we don't do that. Like, think about, really think about that. Y'all know you ain't born with your teeth. You ever seen an x-ray of a little kid's skull?
It's scary.
It is freaky. They look like jaws. Like there's 3 rows of teeth in there. It's messed up. You get the baby teeth and then there's the adult teeth below them. They are there. They just need to push all the way through. Okay? 2-year molars, it's right around age 2 when the kid's back set of molars, not your wisdom teeth, but their back set of molars start growing in because your jaw has elongated enough that you can fit more teeth. And he is just like he bites me. I'm just nicely holding him. He's right up here, and he'll just hug and, oh, buddy, I love you too. And then I feel this like a Wolverine on my neck. So anyway, dependent, independent. I can control how much sleep I get. That might affect how bad my bouncing ball is in class. The more tired I am, the more likely I am to be off track. Independent, how much sleep I got. Dependent, how off task we are. A model rocket. It's going to rise very quickly, and then it's going to explode, fall very quickly, and then slow down with a parachute. What depends on what?
The rocket depends on its fuel.
Okay, depends on fuel, but that's really close. And I could do that one, but what happens after it blows up and then I'm showing the guy coming down?
Oh, the height?
The height is one of them. And the height depends on the time, how long it's been since it fired. Okay? It's really common that time is our independent variable. So we're going to put time down here. And we're going to put height up here. How would I draw this? So time. As time goes on, I light the fuse, I run away. The rocket rises quickly. So that's how rockets sound, in case you were wondering. Slows to a stop as its fuel runs out. Its fuel runs out. It falls quickly until the parachute opens. And it comes down slowly. Does it kind of make sense? Took off really fast. Its fuel was running out. And then it starts falling a little faster. But then pop, parachute goes, and it just nicely takes a longer time for its height to decrease. This is one way to draw it. Who says I have to draw it like this? That was just on the fly. I'm blathering. Could I have done it like that? Does that show a sharp increase? Slows, sharp decrease, a slower descent? Okay, so you get this idea of it's the general shape. Do you have changing points in there to narrate what's happening in the situation? Can you do that? It doesn't have to be art. But can you do that? Can you turn that word, little story, that little excerpt, into a graph? After you do yours, you should be able to look right at your neighbor, and the two of you have a similar-ish graph. Okay, it should be similar. It ain't gonna be the same. No way. You ever played telephone? One person tells the other person, that person has to draw it. That person gives it to the next person. They have to tell what it is to the next person. Then they have to draw it.
That's so wrong.
And it is very wrong by the end. Okay. There's a newer mobile game like that. The Game Club kids are always playing it. I don't think it's in the Jackbox pack. It's a mobile game, but no. Louder.
Gartic phone.
That sounds right. It's a little like purple framed picture. Okay. Yep. They like playing that one. Okay. So yours might not be the same as theirs, but is it close?
Not really. You don't even hide them? Because it really doesn't know you.
Wait, so do you want two graphs? And then just.
No, it's a single graph. You're
Oh. But it's when she's, and when she jumps when it's slower. Okay.
Part B is if you jumped from the swing instead of. If you want to show it with a graph instead of writing it, you can. It's just a different representation. Yeah, if for part B you just want to change your graph, that works. That is a violent swing ride.
Listen.
That's a little more like it.
Yeah, but.
This is what I did.
Are we doing 4.2?
I think we will. I don't know. Let me see how we feel after this. Now, we actually have something like this all the way up in pre-calc and physics. It's called damped harmonic motion. It sounds pretty freaky, right? But it's this idea of, in our classes, we see that as like that. Now, maybe in physical science, have you started talking about electromagnetic radiation, light waves?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of what damped harmonic motion looks like. Suppose you start to swing on a playground. You move back and forth and swing at a higher rate or higher up in the air. You slowly swing to a stop. what is my independent variable? What's the thing that I'm controlling, that I'm measuring?
Yeah, like time.
The height was my output. What did it depend on? The time. How long was I swinging, right? Because I got higher and then higher as time is going on. I'm getting higher and higher and higher, and then as time is going on, we're going slower and slower and slower. Okay. Okay. Yes, time. So you start to swing yourself on the playground swing. Isn't your height going to be like, whee, and then my height is down at the bottom? Right? I swing up, my height is down at 0. I come back, my height's a little more. I kick my legs. I come back down. My height's a little more. I come back down. My height's a little more. I come back down. Right? I'm going higher each time. And y'all know when you get close to that parallel mark with the bar, that's when it does that jerk and you slam down and yeah. And then the kid falls, and then someone puts you on YouTube, and someone calls CPS. Okay, that's how I would see it, personally. Because doesn't your height increase, and then back down to 0, and then increase, and then back down to 0, and then increase? And each time that height that you're at is a little bit higher as you kick your legs, and now it's like, okay, daddy too high. And then we have to bring it back down. It's all fun and games until the reality of gravity sinks in, and then they say, dude, that's too high.
Don't just send it off the swing.
Not yet. Okay. Now, this is the way that I looked at it. Why would I not... Oh, that's all like different pieces. Okay. Why would I not want this? Too violent. I want you to think about that. Went way high, wham! Way high, wham! Way high, wham! That's not a swing. That's a catapult. That's the kid on the other end of the teeter-totter. Okay. So try to have some curve to it. Okay. So yes, too violent. Okay, how is that going to change if they jump off the swing? So, whoop, 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 whoop. Done.
It will have a violent end.
It'll have a violent end. Okay. You have all of our budding authors and comic artists in the room, our DMs for D&D campaigns, all thinking the same thing, like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my story, but it'll have a violent end. Okay. So, but yes, it will abruptly end because they jumped off. The height went to 0 very quickly. Okay, let me look ahead quick here. 3, 5. Tell you what, day 1, maybe you're starting to get a little used to how Sullivan runs the show for those of you who transferred in. I'm going to cut it off there, and I'm going to figure out your assignment because I'm not sure, I didn't put anything up yet. I'm going to figure out your assignment. It isn't big. Your assignments will never be big in here. I said, if it takes you 30 plus minutes to do an assignment, I screwed up or you just don't get it and you need to come talk to me. And I'm okay with altering an assignment too. I've had kids where they understand what they're doing, but their processing speed is so slow, like it takes them a long time to do things. I'll maybe only give them 2 problems a night because they came and talked to me. Okay? So I want you to just sit tight for a minute. I'm going to figure out your assignment and we'll just call her good there. If you have your own book, yay. If not, the spare books went down into the extra books cabinet there behind Dominic. Or you can bust open the laptop and click all the buttons.